Life is a river of fleeting currents, where each opportunity flows past like water, never to return. In its relentless rush, we must dive in or be swept away by the tide. Timing is everything. It is the 35th law in the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. We will try to explain the law in the light of Stoicism. So, if you want to see mix match of psychology and philosophy, or particularly interested in the book, welcome, and feel free to explore the playlist or visit the channel after this video. Chapter 1. Strike when the iron is hot. In the constant rush of life, we often feel an overwhelming urge to act, to seize the moment as soon as it presents itself. Yet, the true masters of timing understand that patience is not a sign of weakness. It is the quiet strength that underlies every successful action. The phrase "strike when the iron is hot" captures this truth well. It tells us that the key to power lies not in constant action, but in waiting for the precise moment when conditions are ripe. Patience, however, is not just about waiting. It is about preparing, observing, and knowing when the right moment has arrived. This wisdom echoes through the ages, finding its place in the teachings of Stoicism. The Stoics taught that while we cannot control external events, we can control how we respond to them. By exercising patience, we align our actions with the natural flow of life, ensuring that when we do act, our efforts are met with success. In modern psychology, the concept of delayed gratification, studied extensively by Walter Mischel in the 1960s, reinforces this idea. Mischel's famous marshmallow experiment revealed that those who could wait for a greater reward later, rather than taking a smaller one immediately, tended to fare better in life. This study underscores the value of patience. By resisting the urge to act prematurely, we set ourselves up for greater rewards. To use this law of timing effectively, we must learn to quiet our minds and observe the world around us with clarity. We must recognize the subtle signs that indicate when the moment is right. In doing so, we turn patience into a powerful tool for success. But let us not forget, this same principle can be used against us. If we are too eager, too quick to act, others may manipulate our impatience to their advantage. Thus, we must guard our emotions and be wary of those who would rush us into decisions before we are ready. The art of timing is a dance between action and inaction. As we master this art, we gain not only power, but also the wisdom to know when to wield it. Chapter 2. The subtle dance of observation. Patience without observation is like a sword without a handle, useless and dangerous. To master the art of timing, we must first learn to observe with a keen eye and a quiet mind. The world is full of signals, whispers of what is to come, but only those who are attuned to the rhythm of life can hear them. The Stoics often spoke of oikeiosis, the process of familiarizing ourselves with the world and our place within it. By understanding the natural order and the roles we play, we become more adept at recognizing the right moment to act. Observation is not just about seeing. It is about perceiving the undercurrents of human behavior, the subtle shifts in power, and the fleeting opportunities that arise in the ebb and flow of life. Consider the wisdom of the ancient Chinese philosopher, Sun Tzu, who wrote, "Know thyself, know thy enemy, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories." This timeless advice is not just about understanding your strengths and weaknesses, but also about keenly observing the environment in which you operate. By paying attention to the movements of others, we can anticipate their actions, counter their strategies, and position ourselves for success. In psychology, this idea is mirrored in the concept of situational awareness, a term used often in military and emergency services. It refers to the ability to perceive and understand what is happening around us in order to make informed decisions. Situational awareness is critical in timing because it allows us to see beyond the surface and grasp the underlying dynamics at play. To apply this law, we must cultivate a habit of careful observation. This means slowing down, taking the time to notice the small details, and resisting the temptation to rush into action. It also means developing the ability to read people, to understand their motivations and intentions, and to foresee the consequences of their actions. In doing so, we gain a strategic advantage that can make the difference between success and failure. Yet, just as we observe others, we must also be aware of how we are being observed. Our every move is a message to the world, and those who are skilled in the art of timing will be watching us just as closely. They may wait for our moment of weakness, for a slip in our composure to strike. Thus, we must be ever vigilant, not only in our observations of others, but in how we present ourselves to them. In the subtle dance of observation, we find the balance between awareness and action. By honing this skill, we sharpen our ability to strike at the right moment, ensuring that our efforts are not wasted but rather executed with precision and purpose. Just a quick reminder, if you're enjoying this video, please consider like and subscribe, and thanks a lot if you did already. Moving on. Chapter 3. Learn from Batman. Observation alone is not enough. To truly master the art of timing, we must also prepare ourselves with patience and discipline. Preparation is the foundation upon which successful timing is built. It is the quiet work that happens in the background, often unseen and unrecognized, but essential for seizing the moment when it arrives. In the teachings of Stoicism, there is a strong emphasis on the idea of premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. The Stoics would envision potential challenges and adversities, preparing their minds and spirits to face them. This mental preparation ensured that when difficulties arose, they were not caught off guard. Similarly, in the context of timing, we must prepare ourselves for the opportunities we seek, so that when the moment comes, we are ready to act with confidence and clarity. Preparation also involves the cultivation of skills, knowledge, and resources. It is the slow, deliberate process of building a strong foundation, so that when the time is right, we can move swiftly and effectively. Just as a skilled archer must train for years to develop the precision needed to hit a target, we too must invest time and effort into preparing for our goals. In psychology, this concept is mirrored in the 10,000-hour rule, popularized by Malcolm Gladwell, which suggests that it takes roughly 10,000 hours of practice to achieve mastery in any field. This notion, supported by research from psychologist K. Anders Ericsson, highlights the importance of dedicated preparation. It reminds us that while timing is crucial, it is meaningless without the hard work that comes before it. To utilize this law effectively, we must commit ourselves to the long, sometimes tedious process of preparation. This means honing our skills, gathering information, and anticipating possible scenarios. It requires a deep understanding that the right moment may not come for days, months, or even years, but when it does, our preparation will make all the difference. However, preparation is not just about the accumulation of knowledge and skills. It is also about mental readiness. We must cultivate the resilience to endure delays and setbacks, knowing that they are part of the process. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we should focus on what is within our control and let go of what is not. In the context of timing, this means preparing ourselves as best we can, while accepting that we cannot force the moment. Yet, we must be cautious not to become paralyzed by endless preparation. There is a danger in over-preparing, in waiting too long for the perfect moment, which may never come. This can lead to missed opportunities and regret. The key is to balance preparation with the willingness to act when the time is right. Chapter 4. The courage to act. No amount of preparation or observation will serve us if we lack the courage to act when the moment arrives. Timing is as much about action as it is about waiting. when the iron is hot, we must strike with decisiveness and confidence. This is where many falter. Paralyzed by fear, doubt, or overthinking, they hesitate and the opportunity slips away. In Stoicism, courage is one of the 4 cardinal virtues. The Stoics believe that without courage, none of the other virtues, wisdom, justice, and temperance, could be fully realized. Courage, in this context, is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. It is the ability to move forward despite uncertainty, to act even when the outcome is not guaranteed. In the realm of timing, to act when the moment is right is a form of courage that can lead to great rewards. The psychological phenomenon of analysis paralysis is a common barrier to action. This occurs when the fear of making the wrong decision leads to endless deliberation, ultimately resulting in inaction. Studies have shown that this paralysis can stem from a variety of sources, including fear of failure, perfectionism, and the overwhelming nature of choices. However, it is important to remember that inaction carries its own risks. By hesitating too long, we may lose the chance to make any decision at all. To apply this law, we must cultivate the courage to act swiftly and decisively when the moment demands it. This requires trust in our preparation and instincts. We must be willing to take calculated risks, knowing that the perfect moment is often fleeting. It is better to act boldly and adjust as needed than to miss the opportunity altogether. The Stoics would remind us that while we cannot control the outcome of our actions, we can control the actions themselves. This mindset frees us from the paralyzing fear of failure and empowers us to move forward with confidence. However, we must also be aware that others may try to push us into action before we are ready, exploiting our desire to seize the moment. This is where the balance between patience and courage becomes crucial. We must learn to recognize when we are being manipulated into hasty decisions and resist the pressure to act prematurely. The key is to remain grounded in our observations and preparations, using them as a foundation for our actions. Chapter 5. The wisdom to reflect and adapt. Reflection. The art of timing is not just about striking at the right moment. It is also about understanding the impact of that strike and learning from it. Reflection allows us to evaluate our actions, refine our strategies, and adapt for the future. This is where true mastery of timing is achieved. Stoic philosophy places great emphasis on the practice of self-examination. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, often wrote about the importance of daily reflection. Each night, he would review his actions, considering what he had done well and where he had fallen short. This practice of reflection is crucial for anyone seeking to master the art of timing. By looking back on our decisions, we gain insights into our strengths and weaknesses, understanding what led to success and what may have caused failure. Psychologically, this process is akin to what is known as learning from experience. Research has shown that people who regularly reflect on their experiences, both positive and negative, are more likely to improve their performance over time. This concept is supported by studies on experiential learning, where reflection is seen as a critical component of the learning process. Without taking the time to reflect, we risk repeating the same mistakes, remaining stuck in patterns of behavior that do not serve us. To apply this law, we must develop the habit of regular reflection. After each significant action or decision, we should ask ourselves, what went well? What could have been done differently? Were there signs or signals we missed? Did we act too soon or too late? These questions help us to see the bigger picture, to understand not just the outcome of our actions, but the timing and context that influence them. This process of reflection should be ongoing, allowing us to continuously refine our understanding of timing. Life rarely offers the same opportunity twice. Each moment is unique and fleeting. Just as Heraclitus said, you cannot step into the same river twice, because the water has flowed on. So too does time. When the moment comes, seize it with all your might, for it may never return. But reflection is not just about looking back. It is also about looking forward. The insights we gain from reflecting on past actions should inform our future decisions. This is where adaptation comes into play. The world is constantly changing, and what worked in one situation may not work in another.